Hello, we're here on the third day of the Asian Youth Forum. I have the pleasure of doing an interview and conversation with Mr. Bambang Susantono, which is the Vice President of Knowledge Management here at ADB. Thank you, Mr. Bambang, to having this conversation with us around youth. I wanted to ask you, since we're doing this Asian Youth Forum in ADB, why is it important for ADB to host an event like this?
I think for us, capturing the one very important element of the development actors, which is the youth, is very crucial in trying to determine the success of the development itself. As you know, a good development concept has to be very inclusive. It has to be holistic. It has to be integrated. It has to be comprehensive. And it has also to have what we call the intergenerational sustainability, right? And for that reason, having the major stakeholders, including the youth as active participants in developing the planning, programming, as well as executing the development concept is very important.
All right, thank you. No, I agree too. I think the fact that it's the fourth Asian Youth Forum in ADB and it has progressed and it includes different stakeholders, ADB and its partners,
That's right.
It creates a huge message, and every year just keeps improving, which is a huge excitement for us.
If I may add also, this year is a bit special because this year we in ADB will be turning 50 years. And for the 50 years, we try to look back our experience, lesson learned, including how we include the, all the stakeholders in the development process, as well as we would like to also to project for the future what will be the best way in delivering the development benefit to the whole developing member countries that we have.
All right. Now that ADB has a Youth for Asia team, not only working events, but also trying to mainstream youth into ADB operations, what type of impact do you think this will have in the organization?
Mainstreaming is one of the keywords that you mentioned. Youth, gender, climate change, for example, the whole thematic issues that we have right here, we try to do our best to be embedded into the program that we have, not only for today's operations, but also for the future operations. And as you know, the future of the global development, including the one that we already committed in the SDG, for example, is really challenging. And without a doubt, we have to work together. Right? It's not only the responsibility of a developing institution like us, but also ordinary citizens, as well as the potential leaders that youth have right now and in the future. So that is why, again, this is a very important event for us and also a very important element of our operations.
All right. And then, aside from being ADB at 50 this year, it's also the first year of the SDGs. What type of role do you think youth will play in the 2030 agenda?
Yes, SDG is very broad, right? And I mean that we have many goals, many targets there, and each of the target itself is interrelated. Let me give you some example. For example, if we talk about cities, we are not talking about the physical infrastructure that has been built on the cities or will be built in the cities, but also social dimension of cities, including, for example, how the youth activities will be facilitated better in efficient cities, how the youth mobility, for example, how the youth smart technology will be provided, for example. Those are interrelated. So in the future, it is almost impossible if we talk about the one sector without also knowing another sectors. And for that reasons, we go back to the basic principle of comprehensiveness, the holistic, the SDG as a one totality, rather than we see each of the goal itself, running and also trying to be achieved by itself. We try to do our best to put all of them together and then mobilize all the resources together with the participation of all the stakeholders, including the youth, as one important element to achieve those goals.
I think it's really great that you're mentioning that, because partnership in the end, it's what's going to make the development agenda successful. So youth playing an active role as partners of organizations, of corporate sector, of NGOs. So I think it's really great that you're highlighting that.
That's right. There's so many elements that we can work together. Right? Partnership is one of the keywords you mentioned about. Partnership means that both sides has to contribute some things, and not only one side that are being dominated, and the other one is just doing whatever the domination of the one party imposed to them. But this is a collective, sort of like a collective efforts that will be targeting such broad goals in the SDG altogether, so it will benefit to all of us.
And lastly, what advice would you give to development organizations to know how to collaborate with young people?
I think number one is hearing their voice. It's very important, because we cannot understand them if we are not hearing them and listening to them. And there are so many areas in the future that we, in my generation, for example, don't know. I mean, that this is a new era where the IT revolution is there. What we call the sharing economy is there. The knowledge economy is there. We heard about the disruptive innovations, the technological advance that are so unprecedented in history. So involving in the youth in the every step of the planning, programming, executing, and implementations of the development processes is important. And by including them in the process, so that we make sure that they're nothing left behind, right? And the needs for them to become one of the prime mover of especially the future development concept will be maintained in the future.
All right, thank you. I think it's a privilege to me to have this conversation with you as ISEC and ADB Partnership Manager, because I've seen through the years how your words actually come into action, in the sense that youth are involved in the planning, in the consultation, but also we're having discussions on how youth can be involved in the action as well. So definitely ADB is one of those very privileged partners that we have. So thank you so much for this discussion, and we're looking forward to the 5th Asian Youth Forum next year, closing the ADB at 50 celebration.
That's right.
So looking forward to the next 50 years of ADB involving youth.
Looking forward to work with you and all the organizations of the youth also.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And let's close this Asian Youth Forum.
Sure.
This is it with us. I'm Jessica Herrera, ADB and ISEC Partnership Manager. Thank you so much for your time. And then this is us discussing Mr. Susantono's insights on the role of youth in sustainable development.